you know, admiration for Kareem and Irvin, especially for Kareem when I was coaching him, because kind of feeling for them, because you know they're going through the same war you are every night.
We don't have bad games, so we're not expected to have bad games. We got to be consistent. We have to be good every night. We have a challenge every night.
Seeing how far a person can go in whatever field that they choose. If you choose to write, can you get something published that people will want to read?
You never beat me. That's what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could have said to Michael Jordan, the god of the skyhook smirking while the god of the air points. This is the best Kareem versus Jordan story ever told, and it's a story that almost nobody knows. Michael Jordan was unstoppable, but there was one shot he could not block. There was one man who stood in his way. That man was 15 years older, and this is his story. I'm not here to say Kareem is better than Jordan. I'm here to present facts and let the legends who played against both tell you what they think. If you're enjoying this, hit that hype button. Give this video hype. It helps us create these deep dives, and it means everything to see what resonates with you. Thanks. Now let's get into what really happened. By the time Jordan walked into the NBA in 1984, Kareem had already won 5 MVP awards. Jordan won 5 in his entire career. Kareem had won 3 championships before Jordan played a pro game. He led the league in efficiency 9 times between 1971 and 1981. Jordan would later become an efficiency expert, but Kareem set the bar and defined the standard for greatness. In 1984 to 85, the same year Jordan won Rookie of the Year, Kareem was Finals MVP. He averaged over 25 points and 9 rebounds against Hall of Famers Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. Kareem was only 38 years old. This is what Jordan walked into, not a fading legend, the reigning Finals MVP dismantling the best defenses. Coaches game planned for Kareem first. Jordan was the newcomer. Kareem was the reality. The first meeting was December 2nd, 1984 at the Forum. Jordan was frenetic and desperate. Kareem played with perfect efficiency, no waste, just execution. The Bulls won 113-112. The second meeting came February 19, 1985, and the Lakers won 127-117. Kareem forced the game at his pace, where his size was insurmountable. Jordan couldn't figure out how to guard Kareem. With other centers, Jordan's speed and leaping worked. With Kareem, the geometry was different. His length blocked Jordan's lanes. It was like driving through a wall. The skyhook was the problem. When Kareem released it, the ball left his hand at 10 to 11 feet in the air. Jordan jumped high, but he couldn't contest a shot from a different area code. The body shielding, the sweeping motion, the flick at the apex, it created an unreachable zone. Think about the geometry. Kareem was 7 feet 2. Add 2.5 feet for arm extension. Add 1 foot for his jump. The release point was around 10.5 to 11 feet. Verticality plus length is greater than athleticism. That's math. On December 1st, 1985, Kareem scored 27 points on 11 of 23 shooting, while the Lakers won 117-113. He commanded the entire Bulls front court. Jordan missed with a broken foot. By November 28th, 1986, Jordan was healthy and averaging 37.1 points. He scored 41 in one game against the Lakers, but the Lakers won 110-103. Kareem scored 15. It was a championship team against one amazing scorer. The team won. On February 20th, 1987, the Lakers won 110-100 on the road. Jordan scored 33 points and shot 40.7% shooting. Kareem scored 17 points and shot 58.3%. Jordan had 5 steals and 2 blocks. Everywhere on defense, creating chaos. But Kareem's 17 felt easy and inevitable. Every time the Bulls made a run, Kareem hit a skyhook and silenced the crowd. Jordan worked incredibly hard for his points, taking difficult contested shots. Kareem made it look effortless. In 1986-87, Jordan was at his peak, averaging 37.1 and winning the scoring title. His Bulls were swept in the playoffs. They lost to the Lakers. The Lakers, led by 40-year-old Kareem, won 65 games in the championship. Jordan was most exciting. Kareem was most winning. Between 1984-85 and 1990-91, the Bulls had a losing record against the Lakers, 6-8 against Los Angeles. Jordan was becoming the global icon, but the Lakers kept winning. This is where it becomes insane. We're comparing a prime athlete against a man who was old enough to be Jordan's coach. In 1987-88, Kareem turned 41. Normally that's retirement, but Kareem was the starting center for NBA champions. At age 40, Kareem set a record that would stand for 16 years. He dropped 27 points, the most ever scored by a player aged 40 or older. Jordan didn't break that record until he was 40 with the Washington Wizards in 2003. But here's the difference. Kareem was doing this for championship teams. Jordan was doing it for a lottery team. On February 2nd, 1988, the Bulls played the Lakers at the Forum. Jordan was the Defensive Player of the Year that season. He was at the peak of his defensive powers, terrorizing passing lanes and shutting down guards and forwards. Kareem was 40 years old. He put up 13 points on 4 of 7 shooting and grabbed 8 rebounds in 30 minutes. He battled for position. He set screens. He defended the paint. He wasn't a liability. He was a contributor. The Lakers won 110-101. Think about this. Kareem was beating Jordan while being 15 years older. Pat Riley, who coached Kareem during this time and watched Jordan rise, said that Kareem was the greatest because of his longevity. Riley noted that as Kareem's athleticism faded, his technical skill increased. He didn't try to outrun Jordan or the younger centers. He outthought them. He mastered the angles. He mastered the leverage. He mastered the mental aspect of the game. When Jordan was 40, he was a Washington Wizard playing for a lottery team. When Kareem was 40, he was the starting center for a team winning back-to-back championships in 1987 and 1988. This distinction is critical. Kareem's longevity was winning longevity. Jordan's late career was impressive statistically, but not championship level. One of the greatest tragedies of NBA history is that we never saw a true Lakers versus Bulls finals matchup in the 1980s. The conferences were different. The Lakers were in the West, the Bulls were in the East. The peaks didn't quite align for that ultimate showdown. The closest we came was 1989. The Lakers swept through the Western Conference and reached the finals. The Bulls reached the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in Jordan's career. They were matched up with the bad boy Detroit Pistons. If the Bulls beat Detroit, we would have seen Jordan versus Kareem for the championship. It would have been the ultimate passing of the torch in Kareem's final season. Instead, the Pistons brutalized the Bulls and then swept the Lakers in the finals. During the years they overlapped from 1984 to 1989, the playoff reality was absolutely stark and clear. Jordan struggled early, getting swept by Boston twice and eventually reached the conference finals in 1989. His playoff journey was defined by struggle and growth. Kareem reached the NBA Finals in 1985, 1987, 1988, and 1989. He was a fixture in June. He was playing for championships every single year. The numbers are compelling. Kareem won 3 NBA championships during the time Jordan was active in the league: 1985, 1987, and 1988. Jordan won 0 while Kareem was still playing. Think about this. While Jordan was learning to win, Kareem was still winning. Jordan's first ring didn't come until 1991, exactly 2 seasons after Kareem retired. The league belonged to Kareem's generation until they physically left the stage. Then Jordan took over. It wasn't a hostile takeover. It was a succession plan that required the king to step down first. The 1980s were not a prelude to Jordan. They were the final act of Kareem. Magic Johnson's perspective is unique. He was Kareem's teammate and Jordan's Olympic rival. His assessment of Kareem is unequivocal. He said that nobody ever dominated like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the greatest to ever change basketball. Magic emphasizes dominance. He admits Jordan intimidated the league with swagger, but reserves dominator for Kareem. Kareem forced the rules to change. The NCAA banned the dunk because of him. Isaiah Thomas is perhaps most vocal. His Pistons had to go through Jordan, Kareem's Lakers, and Bird's Celtics. Thomas says he didn't beat all 3. He argues Jordan's dominance is mythologized because he didn't face the Giants in finals. They beat him. Pat Riley, architect of Showtime Lakers, saw Kareem's work up close. Riley says Kareem was the greatest because of longevity. In the last minute of a game, it was Kareem. Riley trusted his skyhook over any option. Even Michael Jordan acknowledged the skyhook was unblockable. That's admission of defeat to a weapon. He admitted it neutralized his defensive gifts. In later years, Jordan's respect for the old school became pronounced. His generation stood on giant shoulders. When you look at the numbers head-to-head, the picture is fascinating. During the 1980s overlap, Kareem won more games. Jordan often won the scoring battle in specific games. He would put up 30, 35, 40 points, but Kareem's team usually won the game. The Lakers' strategy was to let Jordan get his numbers. They knew they couldn't fully stop him, but they shut down his teammates. This was possible because Kareem was protecting the rim and scoring efficiently on the other end, preventing the Bulls from running out in transition and getting easy baskets. In one game on February 2nd, 1988, Jordan scored 39 points and Kareem scored 13. The Lakers won. This tells the whole story. Jordan won the individual battle. Kareem won the team battle. Jordan won the battles. Kareem won the wars. Career achievements comparison shows how deep Kareem's dominance ran. Kareem had 6 MVPs. Jordan had 5. Kareem had 19 All-Star selections. Jordan had 14. When Kareem retired, he had 387 points, the all-time record. Jordan retired with 32 stood at 92. Kareem provided elite value for a longer period than Jordan. Jordan's peak was higher, but Kareem's plateau was wider and longer. Kareem was elite for 20 years. Jordan was elite for roughly 11 to 13 full seasons. The Skyhook was not just a shot, it was an engineering marvel. Kareem would establish position on the block, turn his left shoulder into the defender, using his body as a shield, extend his right arm in a sweeping arc motion, and flick the ball with his wrist at the absolute apex of his jump. The ball traveled a high arc that made it descend vertically into the hoop. It was physics perfected and executed with precision. Consider the geometry. Kareem was 7 feet 2. Add 2.5 feet for arm extension. Add 1 foot for his jump. The release point was 10.5 to 11 feet in the air. The horizontal separation meant the ball was released feet away from the defender's chest. Jordan's max reach, even with a reported 48-inch vertical, could rarely touch a ball released that high and that far back. The math didn't work for the defender. Jordan, for all his gifts, acknowledged that he couldn't solve the Skyhook. For a man who believed he could defend anyone and did, winning Defensive Player of the Year in 1988 with 3.2 steals per game, the Skyhook was a puzzle he couldn't solve. He couldn't time it because Kareem could release at any moment. He couldn't block it because he couldn't reach it. It was the one move that even the greatest defender couldn't stop. The 1988-89 season was the closing chapter of an era. Kareem was 42 years old, taking a victory lap around the league, receiving standing ovations in every single arena. Jordan was entering his absolute athletic prime, coming off an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year season. When the Lakers came to Chicago on December 20th, 1988, the Bulls finally beat them 116-103. It was symbolic. The Lakers were tired. The Bulls were young and desperate. But even in Kareem's final season, he was still competing. On March 21st, 1989, one of the last times they shared a court, it was a nail-biter. The Bulls won 104-103. Jordan scored 21 points. Kareem, in limited minutes, scored 12. The gap had closed. The baton was within reach. The torch had been passed. The final meetings were respectful. There was no trash talk. There was a sense that Jordan knew he was witnessing the end of the era that paved the way for him. Kareem's retirement in 1989 marked the official end of the 1980s. Jordan's first title came in 1991, exactly 2 seasons later. The roadblock was removed. The Pistons were the final hurdle, but the Lakers of the 1980s were gone. The 90s dynasty began only when the 80s dynasty finally sat down. Michael Jordan is called the GOAT, but in their head-to-head matchups during the 1980s, the old man won. This is not meant to diminish Jordan. He is the greatest perimeter player to ever live and the greatest competitor the sport has seen. But acknowledging Kareem's superiority in their specific window elevates the history of the game. It adds texture to the myth. It tells us that longevity is a skill. Kareem's ability to be elite at 40 was a skill Jordan never mastered to the same degree. The Wizards' years were impressive, but they weren't championship level. The Skyhook was the ultimate equalizer. Athleticism fades, skill is eternal. The 1980s were the golden era. A 40-year-old Kareem, a prime Magic, and a young Jordan all on the same court is arguably the peak of talent density in NBA history. Modern players are actively rediscovering this history now. LeBron James has spoken publicly about how unblockable the Skyhook truly is. He studied it carefully, though he admits it's completely unique to Kareem. Kevin Durant marveled at the incredible finesse required for such a difficult shot. The modern generation, often obsessed with Jordan, is beginning to realize that the man Jordan couldn't beat was the man with the goggles. The story of Kareem and Jordan is the best story ever told because it is ultimately a story of respect. They were complete opposites in every way. Jordan was flash, Kareem was fundamentals. Jordan was the tongue-wagging bad boy who marketed sneakers. Kareem was the silent warrior who marketed social justice. Jordan was Nike. Kareem was Jazz. Yet on the court, they shared a mutual understanding. Jordan knew he couldn't block the hook. Kareem knew he couldn't catch the kid in the open floor. They settled into a stalemate of greatness, a respectful distance where each acknowledged the other's dominion. If the GOAT couldn't beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when they faced each other directly, if Kareem was dominating at 40 years old against a prime Jordan in his peak, what does that tell you about Kareem's place in history? It tells you that there is no single GOAT. There are only gods who rule their specific eras. And for a few glorious years in the mid-1980s, the god of the Skyhook stood absolutely tall against the god of the air, and he did not blink. Look back at the tapes. Don't just watch the dunks. Don't just watch the tongue wag. Watch the old man in the goggles take the ball on the left block, turn right, and flick a shot that defied gravity, age, and Michael Jordan himself. That is the real history of the NBA.